Welcome to Insights on Education. I am Dr. Anthony Dixon, Superintendent of Berkeley County School District. And joining me today, we have our Chief of Schools, Ms. Shameka Washington, and our Executive Director of Academics, Jen Croley. But before we get started, I would like these two leaders in Berkeley County School District to tell us a little bit about themselves.
Good morning, I'm Shameka Washington, the Chief of Schools for Berkeley County School District. I am 20-plus year veteran in Berkeley County. Fun fact about me is I actually graduated from a Berkeley County school many years ago and have a couple kids that are also attending Berkeley County schools.
All right, and Ms. Croley?
Hi, I am Jen Croley. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, have been in Berkeley County for 16 years and served as a teacher, a curriculum coach, as well as an assistant principal. In the past several years, I've been able to serve as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction and oversee all of the content areas, ELA, math, science, and social studies, as well as fine arts, gifted and talented, and our ESOL department. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you both for being here. So, Ms. Washington, before we get into our conversation about our state of schools, could you tell us just a little bit about your professional background here in Berkeley County?
So prior to becoming the Chief of Schools for Berkeley County School District, I served as a high school principal in our district. I was the principal of Goose Creek High School for about 6 years, served as the principal of Sedgefield Middle School, and also worked as an assistant principal at Westview Middle, Sedgefield Middle, Goose Creek High. So pretty extensive background in administration in our school district. And before that, I was a teacher. I taught middle and high school social studies. Fun fact, I was a U.S. history teacher when the state was piloting the end of course exam. So that many years ago.
Ms. Croley, could you talk a little bit about, expound a little bit more on your professional background?
Yes, so I started my career opening up Cane Bay Elementary School as a 4th and 5th grade teacher there for 5 years. Then I transitioned to Westview Elementary School as the curriculum coach, where I served there for 3 years, and then transitioned as the assistant principal, and then had the honor of opening up Bowen's Corner Elementary School as the assistant principal there as well, and opened up that brand new school in 2018, and then was called to come to the district office and serve as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and have been there for the past 5 years.
Good deal. So you both have pretty extensive careers in education and specifically curriculum and instruction and school supervision. So this is a great opportunity for you to talk about the state of our schools, the health of our school district, and just where we're going, where we are now and where we're going as we work towards making a positive difference in all of our students, in our lives of our students in our schools. Ms. Washington, you are a product of Berkeley County School District. You said you graduated high school here and you've returned to Berkeley County to be a teacher and an administrator and now a chief of schools. I know there's been a lot of differences, a lot of changes that you've seen as a student, as a teacher. You're growing as an administrator and leader in our district, and now we are at 47 schools, about 40,000 students within our district, and we're opening 2 new schools in 2026 and rebuilding a new school in 2026 that will be ready in 2026. Can you tell us about the general health of our schools, the state of our schools? I would like to start just with any success. What's good going on in our schools today?
When I think about the current health of our schools, we approach it on a day-by-day basis. From the school's perspective, any day our students wake up, they are transported to school in a timely manner, they are met with a high-quality teacher who's willing and able to provide them with effective instruction. I think that's a great sense of the health of our schools. And by and large, all across our district, our students are met with that teacher who is competent and capable and willing to meet their various learning needs. I'll say that our schools are doing the work that is required to ensure that our students will meet that 2030 mark of 75% of our students being on target and on track to meet those state metrics. The things that we're tracking in our schools constantly, student attendance, student academic performance across the board. With our third graders, we're really looking at how many of our third graders are going to be on target by the end of the year so that we don't have a significant number of our students having to attend summer reading camp. Of course, middle and high school, we're looking at SC Ready performance, and so the way we track that throughout the year is through those common assessments and benchmark data. And so just fall semester with our high schools, we're seeing an uptick across the board in all of our tested areas there. Our graduation rate is continuing to improve, and we are on track to surpass what our district has ever done as far as the graduation rate is. So we're excited about just the positive impacts we're making, again, starting at the classroom level, because we know that we won't succeed as a school district if our students do not have the best educators to meet them in every classroom across all of our 47, soon to be 48 schools. Really focusing in on that 40,000 every child, every day, and giving them the absolute best we have.
Thank you. So you said a lot there, and some things that I really pulled away from were just some of those general metrics that you shared in terms of our goals as a district. And you said like 75% of all of our students being on or above grade level in reading, math, or college and career ready. So this really breaks us down from elementary to middle and high. And being a huge system like we are, Ms. Croley, how have we set ourselves up to meet that 2030 goal?
It really is a partnership from the Division of Academics and Innovation as well as School Services. Together we work hand in hand with Ms. Washington's division to ensure that our schools have the very best so that our children have the very best each and every day. We have the highest ELA scores that we have had in recent history, pre-pandemic numbers since 2018, where we really have accelerated the growth within ELA, and I believe it's a lot of the foundations that we have put in place over the past 3 or 4 years to make that happen. We began, as you know, Dr. Dixon, when you served as the Chief Academic and Innovation Officer, with creating an instructional framework in 2022 for all 47 of our schools. Last year, we built upon that and implemented the PLCs, utilizing the PLC Plus model. And then this year, we have really honed in on our MTSS, or multi-tiered support structure for all 47 schools, with that goal really being over the next 3 years due to how large that it is. So that instructional framework, as you know, when you were the Chief of Academics Innovation, was that foundation for us, and we've continued to build on that. Over the past couple of years, we have also invested on really getting that common curriculum. So within, over the past couple of years, we've had new ELA standards. We have also, within elementary, implemented UFly and Heggerty to help with our phonics and phonemic awareness needs, because our data showed that through iReady, as well as other data points that we collect throughout the year. And then this year we added that HMH, which is also a focus on the science of reading. So again, all of those building blocks have really focused, been over the past couple of years to get us that trajectory close to that 75%. We've also been focusing on math. We have been growing each and every year. Over the past couple of years, we have invested in OGAP professional development training for all of our 3rd through 8th grade teachers so that they can receive the very best professional development so that our kids can get the very best every year. We are also going into new math standards next year, and then we will go into a common curriculum. So we believe that all of those building blocks, as well as that partnership with the Division of Schools as well, really helps set our teachers and students up for success to reaching that 75%.
So we set up our 3 goals between instructional framework, and we set up our professional learning communities and our multi-tiered systems of support. I've seen it in my practice. I've served in roles as either a teacher when I was a teacher of students with special needs, or as an administrator, where we wouldn't have used the word common. We were more individualized, where, you know, a school would focus on, you know, that specific school's needs. And just as of lately, we have really tried to turn back to, like you said, a common curriculum, which, I don't want anybody confused with like Common Core, but our common curriculum has a benefit, just some foundational success of our students and our teachers within the district. Can you both just expound upon, from a school side and an academic side, just how important common curriculum is, that piece of our instructional framework that we are really focusing on in our district?
So from the school standpoint, that common curriculum piece is so important because oftentimes, especially in secondary schools, you may have, 8 social studies teachers on one grade level. And if you can't ensure that what is happening in Class A is also happening in Class B, how can you then determine whether or not the students are going to be successful? So that piece of it is very important in schools, and also just the transient nature of the area. We have students and families moving in and out all the time, so we need to be able to confidently say, I know we taught this standard in our schools, and this is the result of us teaching the standards for our kids.
All right. So to come along with that common curriculum, as a principal, having that transient population, not necessarily from district to another district, but just from school to school within our district, this helps guide us and keep us on the same equitable playing field for all of our students.
And from an academics lens, it really does help provide our staff and academics innovation with the needed information for what professional development is needed in all of the schools. As we're looking at student achievement data, when we have common curriculums, we're really able to see what are some areas of strength for all of our 47 schools and what are some areas of growth. Once we identify those areas of growth, we are able to go in, provide professional development, make plans with schools to address those needs, where if we didn't have that common curriculum, it's really hard to determine what is working and what is not working. Whereas when all of the schools are doing the common curriculum and doing the same things throughout the district, we're able to identify those needs. And then when we think as a large district, when we look at our SC Ready data and we look at the trends, then we can see if there isn't something that's working as a whole for our 47, what can we do as a district to kind of plug that need?
Well, and it also helps us determine what's working well. And so, instead of going to this is what we need, this is working in this place, let's go and find out how are they doing it, what are they doing, and allowing our teachers to then be able to lead that professional development, because if they already know how to do it, let's tap into the expertise that we already have in our district.
Yeah, so I like that. So what's working well really taps into us lifting our teachers and our educators by using the data to just show, hey, you're the experts, you know the pulse of your students in your classroom, this is what's working well, and you can lead professional learning amongst other, for instance, 3rd grade teachers or 5th grade teachers or U.S. history teachers based on what you're doing in your classroom. You can be a leader in instructional improvement for our teachers. We say 75% of our students being on grade level. I have kind of been all across the board on how I feel about attaching numbers to kids. Or numbers to schools, because I've been in situations where it was used, let's be honest, as punitive measures, or, your school wasn't looked favorably upon because of a rating or where you fall in your status. How are we embracing common assessment to really balance out the amount of assessment we're using, but to use it to really improve student learning, improve professional practice, and build upon that instructional framework and really grow the people within our system?
So this year was our first year that we have really asked the schools to do district pacing guides, which has been really nice because with all 47 schools following the same pacing guides, we have easily been able to go into the schools each month and kind of do observations, do instructional learning walks to determine kind of what's going well, what strategies are they doing, and what are some areas of improvement. In regards to those district pacing guides, we've also asked some of our schools to do common assessments, and that has worked really well. It's been great to see students from all across the district take the standardized test that really meets the rigor of those end of the year assessments that we see. From those assessments, we've really been able to see that are there changes that we need to make in the pacing guides, or are there certain standards that our students are performing really well in, and are there standards that we need to spend a little bit more time in. We've been able to have data meetings within our professional learning communities, or PLCs, and that really has given teachers the opportunity to see, okay, my students are doing really well in this standard, I need to teach this a little bit more, I need to accelerate them in this. So it has really been a positive thing for us within our district. However, we are kind of determining how many should we give. With 47 schools, that's a lot of common assessments, and we don't want the kids to feel and the teachers to feel like we're testing them all the time. So I do think there is a sweet spot for that. With every 6 to 8 weeks, we're thinking moving forward for common assessments, but that common curriculum and then adding those common assessments and then doing data meetings to address that data within the classroom is really ensuring that our students are getting the very best every day and that we're really meeting their needs.
We're keeping a real-time pulse on what our students are learning in the classrooms and how our teachers, how successful is that what we want to use, what our teachers need to improve upon, or how well they're teaching?
I think the word we're looking for is effective. How effective is the instruction? And so, when we look at the common assessment piece from the lens of the school administrator, the PLCs are occurring and the administrator is in the PLCs working alongside the teacher. So they're, looking at that data and determining our kids did really well on this standard and having those conversations with teachers to determine how they can best support as well. So it's more than just like the teachers are in the room, it's the teacher, the principal, assistant principal, instructional coach. It is truly a team approach in looking at student performance as real time as we can get, right, within a couple weeks or so to determine what shifts we really need to make.
And we're hoping that intervening on a very frequent basis will ensure that we are plugging all of those gaps that we're seeing. We're not waiting till the end of the 9 weeks. We're not waiting till the end of the year. As the need comes, everybody's working together to meet that. So
you're taking all of the key players, our true experts, which are the ones that are doing the work every day, our teachers, our assistant principals, our principals, our instructional coaches, and our district support teams. And we're putting them in professional learning communities in each school, at each grade level, in each department, to really dissect what's going on in the classroom, what's effective, and what can be improved upon to truly support our students. You're a parent of 2 students in the district. How is this supporting as a parent seeing that? I'm a parent too. When they come home, how is this common assessment helping our students?
Putting on my parent hat. So effective based on the standard. So we can all write assessments that are not to the level of rigor of the standard, and our students can make straight A's and then they sit for the SAT, for example, with my high schooler. If he sits for the SAT and scores a 750, but he's in the top 10% of his graduating class, that's going to be a red flag for me. But if throughout his school career, common curriculum, common assessments, he's doing well, he's making pretty decent grades, and then he sits for the SAT and gets a 1500, okay, it all lined up for me. As a parent, that's what I want to see. I want a true indication of how my child is doing, not an inflated sense of accomplishment.
Yeah. So we're actually calibrating and balancing performance and our curriculum.
And I really, the state has called us to ensure that all of our students are college, career, or military ready. And so when we are providing the common assessments and ensuring that they are aligned to standards and they're at the rigor that they should be, our students are set up for success, that when they graduate from Berkeley County schools and they go to college or they enter the workforce or they join the military, we are setting them up for success so that they can be successful as they leave us and start their life.
So my last thing with assessment, then I will transition to something. This is giving that pulse of where our students are. It's testing or diagnosing or whatever you want to use. In Berkeley County, we talk about assessment a lot. It has its pros and cons. I think accountability does. But is there still space and a need to monitor and celebrate student growth as well? Not just that performance on that one assessment at the end of the year. You spoke about SC Ready. Does this still create a space for celebrating the growth, that achievement?
When you look at research, the importance they always say is to triangulate that data. So the end of year high stakes tests are one data point, but we really use multiple data points to determine how well a child is doing. Attendance, like Ms. Washington said earlier, just qualitative data within the classroom. You've got your common assessments. You have, how they're just doing socially, emotionally, your relationship with the student. There's a lot of data points that we look at in regards to how well a student is doing and if they're progressing and making growth. So we would never want to put, as they say, all of our eggs in one basket, but the importance of triangulating that data to ensure that we're really meeting the needs of that whole child.
Yeah. And when we talk about growth, we are thinking about every child too, and that's really means a lot to me because of the being a former teacher of students with special needs. You're really looking at what they can do and what they came in knowing and where they leave, and you can really make some predictions of where they're going from there.
So the beauty of the 75% goal is that it forces all of us to look at each individual child and how they will help us get to the 75% mark. And so a student with a disability, yes, that student with disability will still be counted in that 75% in one or two or more areas. So there is totally a place for every child and for improvement to be measured year to year and across the system.
Well, I want to segue and transition our conversation to talk about a couple of special initiatives that we have going on, and one in particular, we're looking at improving and truly transforming our schools in the district. And we have done some intentional work within our schools, and particularly our middle schools, in terms of transformation. And we call them our transformation schools. And so I would like to just talk about what are transformation schools, how did we get to having and identifying transformation schools, and how's it going? What are we doing in these middle schools?
So our transformation schools are 5 of our traditional 6 through 8 middle schools. They are Sangaree Middle, Westview Middle, Macedonia Middle, Berkeley Middle, and Sedgefield Middle. And they participate with us in a partnership with the University of Virginia. But let me backtrack and tell you how we got to the selection point of those 5 schools. In the spring, maybe about 2 years ago, I think, it was about 2 years ago, we did the school discovery process with all of our 6 through 8 middle schools in the district. Minus Hanahan Middle. We did not go through the process at Hanahan Middle simply because we knew we would be in a construction zone throughout this process, so we didn't do them. But really the school discovery process involves a district team, curriculum and instruction was a part of the team, and other key district level personnel. We go into a school for a day, we observe classrooms, interview the principal, assistant principal, teacher leaders, school counselors, If the school had any coaching positions, we interviewed them. It's a set of scripted questions where we really try to find common themes in the areas of climate and culture, instructional infrastructure, school leadership, and talent management. And all those areas align with our focus in the Office of Schools, where we are intentional in looking at our systems, the culture of our buildings, what's happening instructionally, and just talent management. And that spring, we had school discovery visits for all those schools. The 5 that I mentioned earlier, Sangaree, Westview, Sedgefield, Berkeley Middle, and Macedonia, they were ready. They were ready for a change initiative. They were ready to transform across the board. Students, teachers, the administration, they were looking for something that would enhance the middle school experience. Historically in our district, a lot of our initiatives focus on the elementary level. Elementary at the time, we were doing letters. They'd done Haggerty, U-Fly, but there was really nothing for middle school. So we thought, how cool would it be if we selected 5 middle schools to pilot this process for our district? And then we said, oh man, these middle schoolers will be high schoolers in 2030. So this is a great time to really get in, give them high quality instruction, because those are our goals. We're looking at Tier 1 instruction, PLCs, and just school climate and culture across all 5 schools. You know, enhancing that school experience and really ensuring that our kids are learning what the state standards require that they have access to or that they learn in those grade levels. That's really what the transformation schools are. We have 5 schools of highly committed educators who are wanting the best for their students and their staff, and they're invested in doing the work.
Transformation Schools is helping us in Berkeley County learn how to lead schools differently, creating stronger administrators, creating stronger instructional leadership teams, and the people that benefit from this are definitely our teachers, our students, and all once we kind of go through this entire process. So thank you for sharing it. We're excited to hear more about it and learn more about it. And we can't do that all on this episode, but I would love to come back specifically just to talk about the work, discovery visits, sharing all of these wonderful things, our partnership with the University of Virginia and their School of Business and their Partners in Leadership Education partnership there, and how we're using it to lead our schools and transform our middle schools. Finally, before we kind of close out, I just want to briefly touch on one part of schools, and that is safety. And one thing that happened at the beginning of this year, 2025, we implemented a free to focus program, which really just took away those electronic devices out of the hands of our students, at least for the instructional day. Real quick, how's it impacted our daily operations?
It's been amazing. Nothing short of amazing. If you go to any of our schools, you'll hear conversation in the cafeteria, in the hallways, and when you walk into classrooms, they are focused. They're focused on instruction. It went smoother than I think any of us could have thought. Like our kids,
Yes.
they complied with the expectations, and it's been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, students are engaged in the lessons. They are having, more. They're collaborating more. They're having conversations. So I think we all thought, like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do without their phones?
Yes.
And it has been a pleasant surprise, and it's been nice to walk into the buildings and see them hands-free.
And it's been nice to not get calls during the day.
As a parent.
Right.
I can concur with that. It has been nice. It was different when you didn't get that call. You're like, is something going on? But yeah, it was a lot going on. They were learning and they were with their peers enjoying school like they should be. I want to thank Ms. Croley, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Ms. Washington, our Chief of Berkeley County School District, for your insights and your leadership. We have so many resources for our listeners and so many opportunities to get involved and to learn more about what's happening instructionally within our schools. I just encourage you to go on our websites. When we have parent workshops, we have a family summit coming up in April, and I encourage our parents, our staff, our community members just to stay engaged and continue supporting our district efforts to make a positive difference, because our success is a Berkeley County success. And so I thank everyone for listening. Thank you both for joining me. Thank you all for being a part of Insights to Education with Anthony Dixon.